Welcome back, everybody. Since I've been away, Season 3 has been a wild ride, to say the least. Let's go through a brief recap from the beginning till now, and I'll give my opinions on it, all lightning round style, as we go. Some of this may be out of the exact order, but the gist of it is still there. Before we jump in, I just wanted to ask if you could please give us a like, comment your thoughts on the current meta, and let this video play till the end, as those three things help us grow the most. Okay, let's talk Chapter 5, Season 3. Day 1 was awful. What on earth were they thinking with the boss cars being as strong as they were, and there being no legitimate counter to the cars? I think they pictured the boom bolt as the counter, but it just was not. The boom bolt, weird weapon, kind of cheesy, kind of gimmicky. It's really not my style. It is one of those weapons that I don't really like to use, and I don't really like when it's being used against me, especially when people are using it effectively. Nitro is awesome. Anything that adds mobility, I'm all for, and the destructible nature of it makes looting very nice as well. Nitro fists are amazing. Best mobility we've ever had. The melee is very powerful. The air attack and ground pound and uppercut, super fun to play with and combo into other items. Check out our Nitro fist video for tips on how to dominate with them. That will be in the description. Boss cars were nerfed. All cars were nerfed by reducing their overall HP, even more so on solos. Good. Auto regen was taken away from the boss cars, thank God. Nitro fists were nerfed from an 8-second cooldown charge to 11 seconds, and this is stupid in my opinion, and really reduces how much you can use them for as just a mobility item. In a weird way, this nerf made Nitro even better since you can't rely on your fists for just rotation anymore. You needed to carry kind of two things now in my opinion. Boogie bombs were added, and the game was absolute garbage for the duration that they were in there. I hate boogies and will never enjoy them. The tri-beam laser was added. It's a cool weapon, much more fair than our last zero bloom hit scan weapon, which was water bending. The toe hook cannon was added, and it's kind of useless aside from early game situations where you literally don't have anything better to work with. Nitro's offense was nerfed heavily. It went from like 70 damage per charge kind of ram hit into a person down to 20. It became strictly a mobility item. It went from a max stack of 4 to 6, and now you can find them in stacks of 3. They are genuinely great mobility given how common they are on the map. This is the kind of thing that the Cerberus dashes should have been. An item that you can find to replenish the dashes that's just not limited to the green water itself. That's why Season 2 was so limited in my opinion. The Grimgate Medallion was just way too OP, where our current movement medallion, Infinite Nitro, gives you an effect that you can also carry with you in your inventory, which to me is way more balanced. EMPs came back and replaced boogie bombs. All hail the Fortnite god. Apparently EMPs were bugged or something. My speculation is that they weren't disabling modded vehicles in the way that they would have done the older Whiplash and SUV. So once they fixed that, then they kind of brought them back in. Then this was probably realized when playtesting for Season 3, and that's why they were removed near the end of Season 2, so we would be used to not having them in the game. Then they took the time to fix them up, and once they were working again, they replaced boogies. Hopefully they're here to stay, because as I've said in the past, anytime you have vehicles, it's nice to have a direct counter to vehicles also in the loot pool. We got the Metallica update, which changed the loot island and gave us the guitar mythic. The guitar is so tilting, not because of the item itself, but because of Reddit and YouTube comments and people who didn't know how to play against it. It was, in my opinion, so easy. You shoot someone until they're white health, they will probably guitar away, then you follow them through the rift that the guitar, creates. I believe it lasted for about 5 to 6 seconds. Then you look with your eyes, the hardest part for a lot of people, which direction your opponent went, and then you just kind of chase them down. I've even killed people with the impact of the guitar because the chase was so easy. If you couldn't land directly on them, you just position yourself in a way that you don't get blasted while you take the 1 second or so it takes to pull out your weapon. The fact that the majority of the player base couldn't figure this out and instead wanted to complain about it was really silly to me. I don't care either way that the guitar is out of the game. I wouldn't have minded if it stayed because, like I said, I never had a hard time playing around it. We also got the heavy sniper. Now this is like how the sniper should be basically. One shot in the chamber, good body shot damage, single headshot kill, no mods is a great nerf to the sniper so that you can't give it in an angled foregrip for quick scoping or an extended mag for just spamming in general, and then bonus points for excellent vehicle damage. So they're trying to separate the loot pools for ranked and unranked, and I've been playing some ranked this season, and I won't lie, I really do not like the loot pool without the cars. The map just feels like it was built for using them just to get around, like I don't really care about the grenade launchers or the turrets or anything like that. It's really just going from point A to point B. So when it comes to a higher skill lobby where getting the Nitro Medallion is even more difficult, it just feels like a complete crapshoot. And when you don't get it, like the game just feels really bad, honestly. Now, I like the concept of splitting the loot pool, but not exactly in this way. I think you could maybe leave the cars but take away the car mods would be a good kind of middle ground, but you need to build the season with like split loot pools in mind. You can't just kind of have it be a willy-nilly decision that you make when you feel like it randomly halfway through the season. Oh yeah, we also got a completely new game mode in Fortnite Reload, which I will take time to talk about in a different video, most likely. You won't be seeing a ton of Reload content on this channel as it's absolutely not my preferred game mode. First of all, I don't like team games. As you can see from my content, I play solo 95% of the time. I also don't like the loot pool of Reload. To me, Nitro and Nitro Fists are more fun than grapplers and shockwaves. Like, I've done all that before. before. I like new stuff. The concept is cool, and maybe if I play with a friend, it could be fun, but for now, I'm gonna stick with just normal BR. And that basically brings us to where we currently are. I'm recording this on the 15th of July. We're just a few days away from the Pirates of the Caribbean update, and that will be interesting to say the least. But yeah, let's get on my thoughts of the current state of Chapter 5, Season 3. Mobility is at an all-time high, which is just amazing. You know, we got Nitro, we have the Fists, we have Shockwaves, we just got Crash Pad Juniors back. You know, cars are in pubs, like we can get around the map right now, which is really, really nice. The Magneto Mythic adds a little bit of mobility, but man, I am not a big fan of that. Like, I think that it's just a very, what's the best way to word it? It's just too cheesy, it's just too gimmicky, and it's too powerful. It's just way, way, way too powerful. I think the meta with the current sniper is actually really nice, you know, because it's not moddable. People are not carrying it nearly as often as they were the Reaper. You're not getting to end games where it's just everyone has a sniper left and right, you know, so I feel like the sniper is at a kind of good current balance. Medallions are still not my favorite mechanic. I would prefer it if something like Infinite Nitro were an augment, not a medallion, so that it wasn't limited to a single player on the map. It just makes it so that whoever gets a Nitro medallion is by far the strongest player on the map, especially in ranked. And then if they also get the shield regeneration medallion too, then they have a huge edge over everyone else. On that note, however, I notice people don't protect their medallions the way they should, as in like they don't protect their lives when they have the medallions as much as they should. People still play kind of very risky, so it's easier than ever currently, in my opinion, to kill medallion players. And that in part has to do with how many powerful weapons we also have in the game right now, between like the sniper, EMPs, really fast weapons like the combat AR, Thunderburst, good shotguns like the Gatekeeper. The combat has been very powerful. Oscar's Frenzy is still in the game. So just keep this in mind if you don't acquire the medallion that you want in the beginning of the game, as it is more attainable than ever. Where previous seasons, I felt like the medallion players were at a far bigger advantage given the medallion's ability and the loot pool. For example, in Season 1, it was very slow paced, especially in the late game with snipers everywhere, so shield regen was huge. And Season 2 was still very slow paced with snipers everywhere, so to have constant regenning Cerberus dashes was insanely busted. Where right now, the pace of the game is very fast, so the shield medallion isn't as valuable. The infinite ammo medallion is basically useless late game unless you use the boom bolt, which it feels like it was basically made for. And while the nitro medallion is by far the best, you can still compete against it if you have a 6 stack of nitro in your inventory. Each one lasts for 20 seconds, giving you a full 2 minutes of, you know, equal footing against that player with the medallion. Versus in Season 2, where if you were up against the Cerberus medallion and you used up your 3 dashes, then that was kind of it. Your opponent was in heavy advantage for the rest of the fight. Like, the longer the fight drew out, the more of an advantage they had. So unless you were right near the green water, and you know, we all know how those fights are when everyone's near green water and it's nothing but dashing left and right, back and forth. At least they figured out how to mix up the medallion locations by sending the bosses and then their henchmen to patrol on different areas. Like, I go for the Megalodon every game, and he can spawn at one of 4 locations, including his home base at Brutal Beachhead. And this variety is really nice, as each location kind of requires a different strategy as to really get the medallion quickly and not let it get stolen from you. Because if you take your time when you're looting up in some of these POIs, especially away from Brutal, that medallion can get taken very quickly. But yeah, the biggest problem item in the game right now is definitely the Magneto Mythic. Like, I really enjoy the movement that you have when you have it equipped, the low gravity effect, you know, and when you pair it with the nitro ability, it actually gives you some pretty solid speed, allowing you to zip around the map, you know, or take extra distance if you're on a launch pad or, you know, something like that. The projectile is just way too strong though. It does 95 damage and it knocks you back as well. On top of that, a direct hit isn't even required. If you're on the ground, you can be hit from splash damage, you know, if they're shooting you from above. The blast radius seems pretty generous as well, honestly. So I can say that since this item's been in the game, it's been attributing to a solid percentage of my deaths. I wanted to give it, you know, maybe like a 25 to 30%, and like, maybe not directly, but like in some way, shape, or form. Like, it stops my car, it hits me into an unfavorable position, it knocks me into the storm, things like that. So I'll be very happy when it's gone. However, that will likely be next season, given it's required for clearing a quest for Magneto, which I still need to do. I forgot that it has a block effect, which is what the quest is related to. And I've really tried to block, you know, in games like this, is it doesn't usually appear to be a strong enough option, but I have to try it out with this mythic still. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that, everyone, as with the recap, you know, it's gone pretty long. I could touch on a few more things here and there, but we'll save that for the next video. It is amazing to be back. Thank you all for sticking with us during our hiatus while we moved. If you made it this far, please remember to like and comment. Thank you so much for watching us the whole way through. Love you all, and we'll see you next time.